everybody, it's Jill Bolstridge, founding artistic director of Triple Promise Academy for the Performing Arts. And today I'm here to give some acting and audition tips and techniques for the younger crowd. If you notice, most of the acting advice and audition tips and techniques on my YouTube channel are geared towards students in grades 7 through 12. Today I'm going to focus on the younger kids, ages 7 to 11. This is especially helpful for beginners who are maybe going on your first or second audition. So one of the things that I've noticed, and I've directed hundreds of shows all over the country featuring tens of thousands of kids literally, and many of my former and current students have gone on to do Broadway, major motion pictures, television, and commercial work. Many of my other students have gone on to have amazing careers in other avenues. A theater education is a great background for any avenue you may want to pursue in life. So if you're thinking about doing theater or participating in theater and you're 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, my advice is do it. There's nothing bad can come out of it. You will have a wonderful experience no matter what you decide to pursue as a career in your life later on. But one of the common mistakes that I see in very early auditions, and this is especially true for young people who are really nervous, is the poise. Poise is really, really important when you're in the audition room, because when your poise is not strong, you're not showing your best self. So what I mean by poise is just the way that you stand, the way that you move, and the way that you hold and conduct yourself in the audition room. So a lot of times kids get really nervous and they do a lot of fidgety movements. They play with their clothes, they play with their hair, or they put their hair in front of their face, or this is a really big one. A lot of times they rock back and forth, and I always tell my students that makes the audience seasick. So I have a really simple little phrase that is kind of easy to memorize and has some physical attributes to it that will help you to maintain good poise. So it goes like this. You can repeat after me and try this at home. The key to perfect poise: no hula hips, no giggle lips, no wandering eye disease, no wandering foot disease, no orangutan arms, and never, ever make your audience seasick. Blech. Now, I'm going to break each one of those down one by one because it's not helpful to tell you what not to do. It's helpful to tell you what to do. So stay with me. So the first one that I mentioned was called no hula hips. What do I mean by hula hips? Well, I mean constantly shifting your weight, right? You're constantly going like this. It's a nervous habit. You're shifting from your right to your left, from your right to your left. And that is not a good habit because it's very distracting. When you move on stage, especially in an audition, you want to move with a purpose. So everything that you're going to do has to have a purpose. So if you want to do a little sassy hip switch, maybe your character is a sassy character, and you want to do a little, guess what? That's not what I said, or whatever the lines are. You can do a hip switch, but you don't want to constantly be switching your hips back and forth the entire time because it's really distracting. So what you really want to do is center yourself with your feet should be a shoulder's distance apart. Your hips should be centered over your feet and your shoulders over your hips. Your arms at your side, and you want to be relaxed, agile, and ready to go. So that when you're ready to do things as an actor, you can spring into action, into any pose that you might have, any sort of movement that the character might do, so you're ready for it. But you don't want to be constantly doing one movement over and over, okay? So that's no hula hips. No giggle lips. So what I mean by this is breaking character. Everybody out there hopefully knows what breaking character means. Breaking character means that you start laughing or doing something that the character wouldn't do at the wrong time. So if you, for example, have a really funny line, you don't want to laugh at your funny line because that spoils it for the audience or for the people watching. If you have a funny line, you want to maintain your character. This is a really funny line. And hold it so that the audience or the directors or whoever's behind the table, they have the opportunity to laugh. If you start laughing, 9 times out of 10, it's going to kill the laugh for the audience, and you don't want that. So try really hard to say those funny lines over and over. Practice, practice, practice until they're not funny to you anymore, and you can say them with a straight face. So after no giggle lips, we have no wandering eye disease. This is a nervous habit that people get where they look all over the room and they don't know where to focus. Or a lot of times students stare directly into the eyes of the person behind the table, which can feel really, really awkward after a while. So here's what you should do. You want to pick focal points, focus points. Where are you going to look? Well, it depends on what your monologue is, or your song. So I usually tell people to choose 3 points. Pick the person to whom you are singing, pick the place you're going to look when you're talking to yourself, and then pick a big place that's bold and out to the audience. Now, when you're looking bold and out to the audience, you always want to look out and up. Now, this doesn't mean strain your chin up like this. That will strain your vocal cords. It just means just a little tilt of the chin out and up, because the light will catch your face at a really nice angle when you do that. If you're looking down and the lights are coming like this, it casts a shadow. If you're looking straight ahead, it's a little better. But if you just tilt your chin a little bit up, your face meets the light, and it really lights your face in a much, much better way. So when you're looking out to the audience on that big money note, you want to be up here, you're looking, but you're not straining your neck like this. You're here, right? Then you want to pick 2 places where you're going to look really specifically. One of those places is going to be the person to whom you're singing, and the other place is going to be where you look when you're talking to yourself. So for example, if I were singing I've Got a Golden Ticket from Willy Wonka, which is the song that many of my students are preparing right now, you want to think about who you're talking to. Well, you're talking to your grandparents and your mom. So you want to put them somewhere. So I'm going to put Grandpa Joe right there. And every single time I talk to Grandpa Joe, I'm going to talk to him by looking there. And then maybe when I'm talking to the rest of the family, maybe they're somewhere over here. And you kind of want to put those people above the heads of the directors so that you're not staring into their eyes. So I might start mine out by looking right at Grandpa Joe and saying, I never thought my life could be anything but catastrophe. And so then I'm going to pick a 3rd point, and that's, where do I look when I'm talking to myself? Right? So, and maybe I'm going to put that point here. It doesn't really matter where you put it, as long as it's distinct and specific and you know where it is. So, Grandpa Joe, the rest of my mother and my grandparents, this is where I go when I'm talking to myself, and then my big money notes are out to the audience. So I might break it down by looking at Grandpa Joe first. I never thought my life could be. And then I'm going to share this story with the rest of the family by saying, anything but catastrophe. And then I'm going to talk to myself. But suddenly I'm beginning to see a bit of good luck for me. And you're going to share that with the audience. And then you're going to go, because I've got a golden ticket. You're going to say that out to the audience. So you're going to talk to Grandpa. You're going to talk to the rest of your grandparents and your mom. Then you're going to contemplate to yourself. And then you're going to share it with the audience. So it looks like this. I never thought my life could be anything but catastrophe, but suddenly I'm beginning to see a bit of good luck for me, because I've got a golden ticket. Now that already looks better than if you're just doing, I never thought my life could be anything but catastrophe, but suddenly I'm beginning to see a bit of good luck for me, because I got a golden ticket. You see the difference. When you're putting people in places and acting like you're actually talking to them, that really, really makes a difference. So don't let your eyes wander, and don't let them get awkwardly staring at one person or one spot or looking at the floor. Pretend you're talking to the people in the characters in the show. You're talking to Grandpa, you're talking to Mom, you're talking to yourself, you're thinking about your dreams, you're seeing your dreams and your future out there, and then you're sharing it with the whole audience. Okay? So just try really hard to think about those focal points. After no wandering eye disease, we have one called no wandering foot disease. This means that you've got to plant your feet and move with purpose. Now, you can't really see my feet because I'm sort of doing a head and shoulders video, and I don't have a whole lot of room here, but when you do wandering foot disease, you can see, even without seeing my feet, you can see how distracting it looks when my head is just all over the place, right? So that looks really distracting to the audience. You don't want to wander, and you don't want to pace. Don't move. You want to pick really specific movements. So if you're going to move with purpose. So again, just taking that same first line, if I want to move, maybe I want to talk to Grandpa and get him engaged in the song. So maybe I want to start back here and take a few steps toward him. I never thought my life could be anything but catastrophe, but suddenly I'm beginning to see a bit of good luck for me, because I've got a golden ticket, right? So just those moves were really specific and really in place. They weren't just all over the place like, Suddenly I'm beginning to see a bit of good luck for me, because I've got a golden ticket. Da 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 da. Right? That looks really random and really weird. So try your best to picture the people you're talking to and talk to them and move with purpose if you're going to move. You can just keep your feet planted and stay in one spot. That's totally okay. But if you're going to move, move with a purpose. No random movements. After no wandering foot disease, we have this one. This is a big one. No orangutan arms. Why do we not want to swing our arms like this when we're on stage? Well, number one, you could hit somebody, and that's not good. But more importantly than that, it's really, really distracting. So unless you're playing an orangutan, you don't want to swing your arms all over the place. Just like your feet, your arms are part of your body. That's part of your instrument. It's part of your storytelling prop. So you want to use your arms with purpose. You don't want to just flail them around randomly, okay? You want to use them to tell the story. So again, using that same line, maybe I use my hands to talk to Grandpa. I never thought my life could be anything but catastrophe, but suddenly I'm beginning to see a bit of good luck for me, because I've got a golden ticket. Right? So I'm using my hands to tell the story. And you want to give yourself a specific thing to do on every line. And if you don't have something specific to do, just keep your hands at your sides. Don't do random movements. And please, for the love of all that is holy, do not fidget with your clothes or your hair. It is super distracting. So either use your hands to help tell the story or to strike a pose, or just keep them at your sides, okay? And then after no orangutan arms is the last one. Never, ever make your audience seasick. This is one of the most distracting, poor habits that I see over and over and over when kids rock back and forth. I know it's a nervous habit, but it's really important to try to work through that nervousness. As you can see, I'm rocking back and forth right now, and you're probably really distracted. It's probably really hard to follow what I'm saying. But if I plant my feet and I talk specifically to you without all that extraneous movement, what I'm saying becomes much more important, and it's much easier to focus. So try really hard not to sway back and forth. I call it making your audience seasick, but just any sort of rocking, nervous movements, right? So again, when you move on stage, you want to move with purpose. That includes the rocking. If you don't have a movement that makes sense for the character, just stand planted with your feet still planted like a tree trunk, tree's roots into the ground, and keep your hands at your side. But you can see that even if I were singing really, really great, this is not the best way to do the audition, right? If I were like, I never thought my life could be anything but catastrophe, but suddenly I'm beginning to see a bit of good luck for me, because I've got a golden ticket. Versus the one that you saw before, which is, I never thought my life could be anything but catastrophe, but suddenly I'm beginning to see a bit of good luck for me, because I've got a golden ticket. Isn't that better than the one you just saw, where I'm just kind of moving around randomly? Yeah, it is. So, the key to perfect poise. Everybody say it with me. Ready? The key to perfect poise. No hula hips. No giggle lips. No wandering eye disease. No wandering foot disease. No orangutan arms. And never, ever make your audience seasick. Blech. I hope that this advice is helpful. And remember, if you do make any of these mistakes, it's not the end of the world. Don't punish yourself. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just try really hard to keep working on making your poise better for next time. Break a leg.